So you figured out how to use this contraption? Hopefully you're using help. Good technique, good airway position, multiple adjuncts, but how do you know that you're getting the right amount of air into just the right place? I'm going to tell you on this episode of One for the Road. Getting the right amount of air into the patient with a BVM is no small feat. But if you're using the BVM correctly, it can be done. Good technique is only half the battle. Let's talk about delivering the perfect breath to the patient. Regardless of if the patient's intubated, if they have an eye gel or some kind of supraglottic airway in place, or if it's just a few airway adjuncts, the perfect breath is the correct volume of air at the correct rate to the correct place with the correct amount of oxygen going in and CO2 coming out. So let's break all of those down. I want to start with volume. I think we have a great tool and it's integrated into most commercial BVMs now, and that is that pressure gauge. The pressure gauge on the BVM can tell us, even when our adrenaline's running high, if we're delivering too much volume, too much force or pressure on that bag. And this isn't one of those things where it's a rating system where the higher it goes, the better breath you're giving. Actually, we want to keep that needle down in the green area of the pressure monitor as we're delivering that breath. When it gets up into the yellow or the red, that's when we're going to start pushing air down into the stomach instead of in the lungs. The next consideration is rate, and I'm here to tell you that we almost always go too fast. The right rate is typically one breath every 6 seconds, and that can feel agonizingly slow when we're on scene and emergency's in progress and the patient's not breathing. When we're the one on that bag delivering a breath, breath feels so slow, but actually that's right about where we want to be. If we get convinced that more is always better, we can actually make shifts in the patient's metabolism that are not good for them. So we really want to discipline ourselves to count those breaths out. There are also a couple devices that I think can definitely help us out. I myself am a big fan of PEEP and having a PEEP valve on our BVMs. Those can go right on the exhalation port of the BVM. There's some that can be reused and there's others that are disposable. And if you're not using one, it's time to start. See, with PEEP, the alveoli stays open and more oxygen flows to the patient throughout the entire cycle of respiration. Those moments where we're counting 2, 3, 4, and we're not delivering a breath, that alveoli stays open and there's still oxygen flowing to the hemoglobin. PEEP, think of it as supercharging your oxygen supply that you're delivering to the patient. And yes, it's even okay in cardiac arrest. I know some folks out there will say that, well, you can't use PEEP in cardiac arrest because you're going to decrease cardiac output. But actually, research shows that PEEP of 5 or less has no effect on cardiac output. And then even at PEEP levels above 5, the decrease in cardiac output that the patient experiences is not clinically significant, and it definitely doesn't outweigh the increased oxygen that we're delivering to the patient. Another device that I really hope you're using is a in-tidal CO2 detector. Now with CO2 detectors, I know those colorimetric ones they're okay, but waveform capnography is much better. It gives us a lot more information. It confirms that we're getting air into the right place. It confirms that air is coming back out appropriately, and it allows us to adjust our ventilation rate if we do start breathing too fast or if we do need to increase our rate. In-tidal CO2 will tell us all of that. So those are my tips, the things that you can do to make sure that you're getting that right volume of air at the right rate into the right place and the CO2 back out. What do you think about that? Go down there and leave us a comment and tell us what you think about ideal BVM technique. If you've got any devices or techniques that you love, tell us all about it. I appreciate you watching. I'm Steve Whitehead, and that was One for the Road.